Hey everybody, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm having a great time because I have been theorizing and thinking about God Usopp's potential going into the Elbaf Arc, and I'm so excited to go and talk about what we can expect from Usopp and this hidden power that he has that only Elbaf warriors know about. As always, be sure to go and like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date for all my latest series, discussions, and reviews. Now, firstly, I absolutely love Usopp. Ever since the start of the series, Usopp has been one of my favorite characters. When it comes to one of my favorite moments in the entire series, I always think back to Water 7 with Luffy versus Usopp. That I absolutely love so much. I find it so cool that he was able to go and step up to Luffy and really outsmart him when it came to fights because, you know, Usopp is not a powerhouse. He has to use his wits. So in that fight against Luffy, it was really cool to see him outsmart him. Now, what I love about Usopp is this is pretty much his whole story arc. Whenever he goes into a situation, he has to go and use his brains and his wits. And whenever he steps his foot down to make a move, he really makes it count, especially against very, very powerful opponents. And as we all know, his whole story arc has been him becoming the strongest warrior, especially in the eyes of the Elbaf warriors that he admires so much. And that's why I wholeheartedly believe that when we get to Elbaf, this is absolutely going to be Usopp's time. When it's going to go and be talking more about his character, fleshing more about his backstory, the secret connections that he has with Elbaf that he doesn't even know about himself, but will get revealed to him. And then eventually getting his much needed power up that he needs to become the strongest Elbaf warrior in history. I mean, this man is the strongest Elbaf warrior in history. He just doesn't know it yet, and he doesn't know how to unleash his powers yet. So when he gets to Elbaf, that is absolutely going to be the case. He is going to be taught by the Elbaf warriors that he has a power within him that they recognize, and they're going to go and work together to go and bring it out of him. When I say this, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to go and get this power and then he's going to be tussling side by side with Sanji and Zoro. I mean, by all means, I would absolutely love that, but I feel that this power he's going to go and have is really going to go and step him up, and it's really going to make him such an important asset. He already is, but it's really going to just take him to the next level, which is what's been happening with Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy with all of these different arcs. I feel that Usopp's time has finally come, and he needs to go and have this happen. So with that being said, when it comes to the Elbaf arc, there are a number of different things that I'm very excited about that we can expect from the arc. So first and foremost, the road poneglyphs can be a massive part of this story. Of course, with every other arc that's been happening, it has been a main focus. And I would absolutely expect the same to happen with the Elbaf arc. And especially because now we're getting to the very, very end stages of the story. And we're now starting to put the pieces together for the poneglyphs. I would expect that this could very well be the last stop before we start heading towards Laugh Tale. Another part of this arc is we could absolutely expect a full-blown Joy Boy story. So Joy Boy could very well be from Elbaf. And we could necessarily go and see origin story for Joy Boy in Elbaf. A popular theory is that the Noah was actually built in Elbaf originally, so we could actually go and see a flashback showcasing that happening. Okay, so the Noah was built under the guidance of God. Elbaf's inspiration is heavy on Norse god mythology, and we have God Usopp being the focus for the Elbaf arc. Coincidence? We could also be seeing a story for the very first Oars. Oars is such a recurring character in this whole story, so I would expect that the very first Oars could have a tie-in with Joy Boy, whether it's his rival, whether it's his crewmate, whatever it may be. I expect there to be a full-blown explanation in this Elbaf arc. Another interesting theory is that the straw hat that Eam has in their possession is the prized treasure of Elbaf. So whether that means that Joy Boy was originally living in Elbaf and that he always used to wear the straw hat, so when he eventually died, the straw hat was such a prized possession, and then Eam was able to go and have that taken for themselves. So that's a popular theory, and I'm keen to go and see whether that gets elaborated on. Now, when it comes to One Piece arcs, there is a very specific structure where we go to an island and there is a leader and they have a corrupt control over the people on that island. So I would totally expect that to be the case for Prince Loki, and that Loki has a control over the Elbaf warriors on the island, and that it is the Straw Hat's job to go and take him down, and that Usopp will eventually lead Elbaf to freedom. I feel that now is the perfect opportunity for Usopp and Yassop to connect, and for Yassop to truly explain the roots that they have in their family with Elbaf, because, you know, with these sorts of characters, there are always some sort of tie-in with their motivations. So, for instance, you have Zoro wanting to be the strongest swordsman, and he has this huge tie-in with Wano Kingdom. And you have Luffy wanting to be the Pirate King. He has a huge tie-in with Gold Roger and Joy Boy as well. So I would totally expect something like Usopp wanting to be the strongest warrior, admiring the Elbaf warriors, and he has these hidden family ties with Elbaf, which he was never told because Yassop was off doing his pirate business with Shanks and the crew. And if Yassop was to go and explain these stories to Usopp in the first place, then Usopp would have just taken those stories on face value, told them to his friends to boast himself, but never really truly believed that that would have been the case. Because he was just living on the island, just hanging around. Like, why would you say, hey, guess what? You have the blood of giants in you. See you, I'm about to go be a pirate. Of course, there is a popular theory that Usopp will die in the story. And of course, you've got tons of panels from Usopp that could foreshadow his death. Particularly him when he says that when he dies, he wants to yell that I am a brave warrior of the seas. So you could totally see a situation where he is making this grand sacrifice, and that is his grand statement that he yells out as he dies. Now, I mean, if there was any character to die in the story, Usopp would have the biggest impact, I feel, just because he is such a relatable, likable character. And his motivation being that he wants to be that brave warrior and he wants to scream this as he dies, it would really solidify his character, and it would really fulfill the promise that he made to himself to become that great warrior. So it would have the biggest impact and the biggest payoff. With that being said though, I don't know if Oda would be able to pull the trigger on that. Considering that when it comes to these characters, when they should have died, they have not died. Kinemon. But of course, we've had Ace die, we've had Whitebeard die, we've had other characters that are really, really important and meaningful die in the story. And Oda could totally think this the same way. He could have thought, well, at the start, I always knew that Usopp was the one to die out of all the Straw Hats. So that could be his likely plan. But when it comes to him fulfilling his dream and fulfilling his promise, he doesn't have to die to do that. I could see him doing that big sacrifice, like really put himself up there to sacrifice himself for the Straw Hats or for the Elbaf Kingdom or whatever, make that plea that I am the greatest warrior of the seas, and then he manages to survive. But in doing so, he is a hero. He is a warrior because he sacrificed himself. He put himself out there for his people, and that's what a brave warrior does. So in doing so, he would fulfill his promise. He would fulfill his dream of becoming a great warrior, but be able to survive through it. And all of the stories that he would tell to his friends when he was younger on the island, the new stories are his own stories. They are the real stories. Now, when I say that Usopp has the heart of a giant, I do honestly believe that there is going to be some reveal that Usopp has Elbaf Giants blood in his veins. I would absolutely love that there was an ability that Usopp had that the Elbaf warriors are able to tap into and recognize and unlock, that had Usopp to unleash the power of Elbaf Giants within him. And when I mean that, I mean like their strength. He will have the strength of Elbaf Giants, but he will be in his same body size. He will be absurdly strong, and it'll be extremely funny because Usopp is a character that's not a brute force character. He uses his wits, he uses his tactics, he uses his sniper ability, he uses his observational haki. So for him to have this ability, to be able to just grab somebody and throw them across the island, like to have the most absurd giant level strength, is so funny. I would absolutely love that. I think it would be the most hilarious thing for Usopp's character. It would honestly fit, because if he was like a brute force character, if he did use his fisticuffs and he unlocked this ability, then he would be the most OP character in history. He would destroy everything. But if he's a character that doesn't want to be so physical, that he uses his distance, that he uses his haki to have this ability to have this strength, and he only uses it in a desperate situation. Like, that would be hilarious. It'd be fantastic. Now, with that being said, maybe he just turns into a giant. Usopp, the size of a giant, would be the most hilarious thing, because I could imagine, kind of like how Ant-Man, when he goes giant, he's just like laughing over everybody. Like, I'd imagine him making such a funny big deal out of it. Not to mention, like, he's so unco, like, he is not a physical guy, so him being giant would be so funny because he wouldn't know how to go and use it properly. What if he was giant and he was still using his slingshot? That'd be absolutely hysterical. I do honestly think as well that this is going to be the last stop before Laugh Tale. This is going to wrap everything up. It's going to make Usopp's character really elevate. It's going to answer a lot of good questions. And then we're going to be stepping more towards Laugh Tale. What are your thoughts on Usopp's character? What do you think his power-ups are going to be? And what are your expectations for the Elbaf Arc? Let me know in the comment section down below. Hope you all have an awesome day. Take care, and I'll see you all on the next one.